Welcome to the Procurement Professional channel. This is Ashraf Saleh, who will explain the CIPS L4 methodology. We are still explaining the first book of L4M1. L4M1, Scope of Influence of Procurement and Supply. In the previous lectures, we finished explaining 1.1. Compare the concepts of procurement and supply chain management. Then, 1.2. Analyze the different sources of added value in procurement and supply. We explained together the first point. 1.2.1. The 5 rights of procurement. Today we will continue with the second point. 1.1.2. Defining total life cycle costs, or whole life asset management. As previously mentioned, the explanation will be in 2 ways. The first method is through a practical example through which the points are clarified. The second way is by addressing what is included in the book. Let's start with the practical example. You have a purchase request for buying a car to be used for 1 year only. You made your search for the market and you found 2 cars with the same specifications and the prices were as follows. Price: Car 1, 1,000. Car 2, 1,200. The warranty on the 2 cars is 1 year, including all spare parts. The fuel consumption of the first car is as follows. The first year, 10 liters per 100 kilometers. Second year, 11 liters per 100 kilometers. Third year, 13 liters per 100 kilometers. The fuel consumption of the second car is as follows. The first year, 10 liters per 100 kilometers. Second year, 10.5 liters per 100 kilometers. Third year, 11 liters per 100 kilometers. The resale price of the first car after a year of operation is 80%, at the end of the second year 70%, and at the end of the third year 50%. The resale price of the second car after a year of operation is 80%. At the end of the second year, 75%, and at the end of the third year, 70%. What is the best choice to buy a car? According to the purchase order, which states that the car is required for 1 year only, the ideal option would be to purchase car number 1. Suppose that the work was extended for 3 years, and therefore the car will extend with us for the same period of 3 years. In this case, what car will we buy? Here, the cost of purchasing and using the car over the course of 3 years must be comprehensively considered. Not just the purchase price, nor the warranty, but there is a cost of fuel consumption for each year of operation, and it becomes clear to us that the second car costs less. Likewise, the return from reselling the car in the third year indicates that the second car resold is greater than the first car. Through this comprehensive overview, it becomes clear to us that the total amount will be spent while the car is in our possession, which means the total cost of ownership TCO. When calculating TCO, the importance of the requested asset must be considered. There are some assets that, upon expiration of their useful life, cannot be resold. An example of this is radiological devices at the end of their lifespan that are difficult to resell and dispose of. Rather, we are looking for specialized companies and paying them money to get rid of that asset. Another example. It is required to import an X-ray machine from Germany. The purchase cost is 500,000 euros. Purchasing is not just the cost of the device. There are additional costs such as customs, shipping, transportation, installation, operation, and aging. The total expenses paid until operation is complete is the total cost of acquisition TCA. What is the relationship between the price, TCA, and TCO, total cost of operation? The price is part of TCA, and TCA is part of TCO. TCO includes the price of the product and TCA, in addition to all operating expenses, including maintenance, spare parts, training, resale, and many other expenses throughout the life of the asset's use. Now, Let's move to the second direction by going over what the book covers to explain this topic. 1.2.2 Defining Total Life Cycle Costs or Whole Life Asset Management. Life cycle costs, LCC, are used to analyze the total cost incurred over the lifetime of a product, work, or service. Whole life costing, LC, total cost of ownership, TCO, and life cycle costs encompasses all the overall costs associated with owning or using an asset, item, or service from acquisition through to end of life. The main differences between the terms. Total cost of acquisition, TCA, typically considers all the activities and costs associated with the procurement of goods and/or services, but does not typically consider their running or operating costs. Total cost of ownership, TCO, considers all the costs associated with the planning, tendering, procurement, contract management, and importantly, the disposal or termination of an asset or service. It does not usually look beyond this by considering the benefits derived from the good or services. Life cycle costing, LCC, used traditionally within the construction industry. Life cycle costing is normally associated with the costs of site clearance, construction and operating a building or large piece of capital equipment, but rarely includes the cost of disposing of the building at the end of its life. Whole life costing, WLC, includes all the elements of life cycle costing, but includes other factors: acquisition costs, processing and maintenance costs, end-of-life costs, and non-value-added processes, scrap, rework, or other disposal costs. The principle of WLC, TCO, and LCC are all part of the larger concept of whole life asset management, which looks at not only the costs of a product, work, or service over its entire lifespan, from conception to end of life, but also the management and resources required too. These are important concepts that emphasizes there are more considerations to owing or procuring a product or service than just the initial cost price. This often referred to as the iceberg effect, where the immediate purchase price is the only aspect of the cost, what is visible but hidden below the surface. There is medium to long-term costs that contribute to the overall total cost of ownership. The iceberg effect of WLC. There are 5 stages in the WLC where costs should be analyzed. Whole life asset management. Whole life asset management, WLM, is the process of evaluating the total price and all associated costs of a product to make an informed decision as to which option will provide the organization with the best value for money option. Now let's move to the third point. 1.2.3 Achieving 5 Rights of Procurement from External Suppliers. We explained before the 5 rights of procurement: the right quantity, the right quality, the right time, the right price, the right place. A procurement department may purchase products and services from both internal and external suppliers. Internal suppliers. Internal suppliers within an organization are linked by working either on the same site or for the same company as the buyer. External suppliers. External suppliers are organizations that are separate business entities from the buying organization. Procurement departments use contracts, service level agreements, SLAs, and key performance indicators, KPIs, to ensure that external suppliers meet quality, timescales, quantity, and place considerations. Contract. One of the responsibilities of the procurement department is to negotiate strong contracts with suppliers. Contract is a legally binding agreement between 2 or more parties in which one party agrees an action in return for something. A contract is enforceable in law and exits in every commercial transaction. Without a contract, the procurement department and the supplier would not know the following: what should happen, when things should happen, key performance indicators. Key performance indicators, KPIs, may be included in a supplier's contract with the buying organization in order to achieve the right quality, timescales, quantity, and place considerations. KPIs are used to monitor the performance of a supplier. They can be either qualitative or quantitative, but they must be measurable. Mechanism for achieving the right price. The price that is considered right will be significantly influenced by all the above factors. The price of a product or service will vary in order to meet other requirements. There are various methods buyers can use to assess the price and ensure the price on offer is right for their requirements. Benchmarking through multiple requests for equations, RQs. Negotiation, open book costing. Economic order quantities, volume discounts. Now let's move to the fourth point. 1.2.4 Other sources of added value, innovation, sustainability, and market development. Other non-monetary factors contribute towards adding value to a product or service, and a buyer also needs to consider the following when purchasing goods or services. Additional features, brand, convenience, excellence of service, market development, reduced input costs, a good reputation, innovation, sustainability. Now, let's move to the fifth point, 1.2.5, defining value for money. When assessing value for money, the WLC and the TCA should be reviewed. In addition to the WLC and TCA, the 5 rights of procurement and supply should be evaluated to ensure that all aspects have been explored to ensure the product or service is procured for the right price, in the right quantity, with the right quality, and is delivered to the right place at the right time. Ways to achieve value for money. Currency exchange rates, environmental factors, freight cost, maintenance cost, packaging, payment terms, place, product service price, quality, quantity, inventory, supplier reputation, time, warranty. Now we have finished explaining 1.2. Analyze the different sources of added value in procurement and supply. Ashraf Saleh was with you from Procurement Professional Channel. We will meet you soon to explain the CIPS L4 methodology. Thanks, and have a good day.